welcome to the Don't You Know I'm Loco podcast. We're three cousins looking to break generational curses by sharing our mental health and healing journeys. Join me, Candy,
Lisa,
and
Rene.
as we talk about the things we're not supposed to talk about.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to our channel. For those of you that are listening and not watching, we have a guest today. Renee,
Yes.
why don't you introduce our guest today?
This is my buddy Chris Partita. I've known him for about 12 years now, I would say.
Shit,
I
really?
think it's 15 now.
15? Whoa.
Since
Holy
2010, right?
11. When I
11,
got back
so
from
14.
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've known each other for a minute now. Yeah.
Dang, that's
I
a
would
long
say he's
time.
one of my closest friends.
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Yes.
Tell us what you do, Chris.
I'm a budget analyst for the government, I'll say. And I've been doing that for about over 15 years. And that's pretty much it for when it comes to work-wise. I used to do construction, but I don't do that much anymore.
And he's also a veteran.
Oh, okay.
I'm a
Another
veteran. I
veteran.
did 4 years active duty Air Force.
Ooh.
Okay, somebody had to pass the
Ooh.
test.
Damn, chair force.
I had a good chair, you know. Mine was an old metal.
Oh, when we were at the volleyball game,
Oh,
at,
yeah.
and then you know how they were showing, it was like Vegas has a professional volleyball team,
Yes.
and they have like their arena and everything. It's like a
Mm.
big deal.
Yeah.
And we went. It was military appreciation
Mhm.
night,
It was
and
fun.
then they had like different. They had like
The branches.
the branches, and you know everybody cheers and stuff, right? So Max was with me,
Mhm.
and wasn't in the military. And you know how you boo,
Yeah.
but it's like it's the camaraderie
Yeah.
part of it, you know. It's like
Yeah.
that, like we
Yeah.
bash each other, but it's like in good nature, like it's funny, you know, and we
Yeah.
can take it.
I always felt like it was more about
And
like,
then
hey,
he
we
was
have
like,
pride in our team and our pride in our branch.
yeah,
So we always want to say that we're the best and
Yeah.
comparative that we all have different missions and we're all fighting
Yeah.
for the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but
Right,
yeah, I do
right.
love it because it's like kind of like it builds up that camaraderie.
yeah,
You know, I mean, we have another mutual friend with us that was also Army,
okay.
and you know, I fit right in with those guys. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Like once you're prior service, that's it. Like
Yeah.
you're in the group or whatever. You know. That,
sorry, Candy.
I know, I'm like, I'm just here.
That we have like the
No.
jargon, and we can like.
I know, that's
You
what I'm
know.
saying. Earlier, you guys were saying something, and I was like, I don't know what any of them letters mean.
Aw,
I was like,
I'm
oh,
sorry, I
well.
always feel so bad.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It was funny though because they were swearing a group of recruits in.
Oh,
And me and
really?
Lisa were like, "Don't do it."
Yeah. I was like, this is probably the
National
wrong
Guard.
night to do this.
Oh
like
my
to
gosh.
Yeah,
How
we were doing that
funny.
at a graduation. People were looking at us weird.
Yeah.
It was like because after every graduate, they had enough time to say, "Hey, this graduate is going to go to the Air Force and the Army."
boo. Uh-huh.
So it was funny because we saw a bunch of people that were veterans, and we were all doing it. So we were like, "Hey, we got one!"
Uh-huh.
Oh, boo, went to the Marines. Oh.
Yeah.
So it was like funny, but then there were some families that didn't get it,
Uh-huh.
and they were really like, "I can't believe they're booing America."
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah. That's
we're
what
like,
Max was or that night.
he?
Yeah, because he was like, "Hey," and I was like, "No, it's okay, it's okay."
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, I did
uh-huh.
that with a family member of mine. Her son-in-law was a Coast Guard. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, oh, they're not real military.
Yeah.
And she was so offended because she loves her
Oh,
son-in-law.
okay.
So she was like, no, he's a real
Yeah.
military. I was like,
No,
and I was
no.
like, I know. And then she was just like the whole like rest of the thing. I felt like I was getting an evil stare. Like, how dare you talk
Yeah.
about my son-in-law? He fought for this
I could
country. I was
totally
like,
see
yeah,
that.
to the edge of the coast.
Mm.
That's as far as
The
he got.
beach.
He got to the beach.
That's funny.
So, but yeah, it's all in fun in nature, and it's great
Yeah.
because
Definitely.
you know we're all part. We're not saying some of us had different experiences and everything like that, but in the end, we had one mission, and that's to to fight
Yeah.
and defend the United States of America.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, we also have another guest. Ladies here, so again, if you hear the
she's
heavy
roaming
breathing,
around.
that's her,
Yeah.
not us, okay?
yes, that is her not
Lady.
us.
She's like She's like a reoccurring guest over here, ladies. She's
Yeah.
a mascot.
She just loves me so much. Look at her.
She is. She's just so happy to be right next to you.
Yeah.
Oh, so cute. Ay.
All right, guys.
Okay, so today our topic is starting therapy and recovery mountain. So it's like a
Combo.
mix, of two
Mm.
different things. But let's get into some challenges.
Who wants to go first?
Not me, not it.
I'll go.
Alright.
I'll go. Only because it'll probably tie in, I think. Maybe
Right.
later. I don't know. But I've been having, like a hard time like everybody else and stuff. And I paused school,
Mhm.
like in the middle of the class.
Mm. Mhm.
Like it was just like too much. So
Mhm.
I was like, I can't. I need a break. I need a break. I told my counselor, he's understanding, and yeah, and I'll have to deal with all the repercussion of paying the VA back and all that crap and not being able to eat out as much because I have to balance it.
It
But
happens
it's just
though.
like an effect, It's
Yeah.
just an effect that it's like, okay, I
Mhm.
have to let go of one so the other one can, like it's just a
Mhm.
juggle. So
Mhm.
yeah, that hurt me because I was like, no, like you can't give up. You can't give up. Just
You're
it's so
taking a break.
close. It's so close.
Mhm.
And
That's how I see it.
then I
Mhm.
was like, I can't. Like I'm tired. I'm so
Mhm.
tired.
Mhm.
I even took like the next day off and like I slept
Oh
like
wow.
the whole day
On
because I
Monday?
was so tired.
It's tiring to go to work and then to
Yeah.
have to come
I
home
don't know
and
how
do
you guys do
homework.
it.
Yeah.
He's going to
It's the
school too.
Yeah.
This is
worst.
actually my first full semester as a full
Ugh.
class.
Oh my
So
Oh.
I'm
gosh.
taking 13 credits right
Oh
now,
my god.
and I'm
Ugh.
like, I got good in 3 of them, but the last one is
Uh-huh.
totally. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this is the week I'm supposed to be catching up, and I'm like, I'm on vacation. So it's
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
it's like once
Uh-huh.
again,
Yeah.
I'm a big procrastinator, so I already
Mhm.
know.
Oh, for
So
Me
sure.
too.
Yeah.
I got to do about 6 weeks of work. No big deal. I'll probably do it all on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
No, I
god.
can't do that. But
Mm.
Yeah.
I will wait Sunday night.
But you give yourself grace. It's not easy.
Mhm.
Like
I'm taking a break this
schools.
semester
Yeah,
too.
same
I
here.
haven't taken a break. Like I would take summers off, but like since Fernando and I were together, started dating, like because I had to get residency, so I had to be here a year. So for like
Mm.
10, I want to say 10 years that we've been together. That's how long I've been going to school, and
Mhm.
like on and off.
Excuse me.
Between because I was at CSN and I graduated from CSN and then now I'm going to UNLV, but now I'm like
Mhm.
I'm not doing accounting anymore. I want to do something else. So then
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna just take a break because I feel like
Yeah.
I'm wasting money and I'm
Uh-huh.
wasting time by being there and I'm not 100%.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like because even with the somatic therapy that I've been
Oh,
doing,
yeah.
I feel like my brain has more capacity than it did
Mm.
6 months ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe this will help.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
exactly it, Candy. Like
Uh-huh.
that's how I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, cool. Like I can keep up. This is good. I'm
Mhm.
getting more like space in there where I
Mhm.
can retain
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, but I just had too much piled on where I was just
Mhm.
like, I need the break. But now I'm glad that I have a little bit more capacity in there that I'm
Mhm.
able to like really like
Yeah.
straighten everything out,
Mhm.
and really have a path.
Mhm.
Because right now I feel like everything's just everywhere and it's
Yeah.
just, giving 10% here, 20% here. And,
Mhm.
it's like, no, I can't do that. And it's big things that deserve like
Mhm.
80% of, my time, my attention and stuff. And it's like, I'm just borrowing time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Well, give yourself grace.
yeah. So that's my
Mhm.
challenge.
That's all you can do.
So, where are we doing, everybody?
He's had time.
I have time now.
Hey, yeah, come
So
this
I'll
weekend.
probably be on Instagram and stuff.
Oh my God.
I'll
Don't
be
do
able to
it.
respond to you guys.
Don't do
and-
it. You're in charge of our social media now.
Yeah.
You're
Got a
now
new job.
you're a new social media manager now. My challenge is that I need to learn hay comida en la casa because
That's
which
so
is like
hard.
there's food at home.
Mhm.
But basically I have a compulsive shopping issue. And I think I just kind of realized it. Like, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. But
Mhm.
then, like, it's gotten bad where I'm like, okay, you need to chill because it's like quick, like 50, $40 here and there,
Uh-huh.
quick, right? Shopping.
Mhm.
And then the mailman hates me. So,
Yeah.
but I'm like, okay, we gotta chill because we are planning a big trip next year,
Mm,
and
oh,
and that's a
yeah.
lot of money. So I'm like, okay, we gotta chill, and I need to not shop because obviously I have enough clothes. So, But yeah, that's what my challenge is. It's a working challenge, so
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
to
You're
delete
gonna have to let us know how
all the
you
shopping
do.
apps off my
Oh,
phone.
you did that
Mm.
already? Are
No,
you
not
going
yet.
to?
I'm gonna have
Oh
to.
my gosh.
One of them I can't because I
Okay.
have to review so that people get paid. Um,
Oh yeah,
you know that when that
yeah,
happens,
yeah.
you finish the transaction. But yeah,
Mm.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna not shop because then I'm gonna
Yeah.
slip up. But
y-
it is what it
Yes.
is.
Definitely.
Yep. What about you, Renee?
So my challenge was I fell off the wagon a little bit this past weekend. um, had a drink on Saturday. That wasn't too bad, but I did drink on Sunday, like more than I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the volleyball game.
Mm-hmm.
I broke my rule. I didn't even realize that I was drinking around the kids. I was like, oh, I didn't realize this
Oh, I didn't
after.
even realize that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's a sporting event. I didn't think anything of it, but I was like, oh, there's kids there. And then I went over to the casino and I gambled a little bit too much.
Oh.
And then I ended up walking back from Green Valley Casino.
You did.
Yeah, like at 12 midnight.
Oh my
At midnight.
gosh. I mean,
At least
not
it's just a
that
straight
far.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that far, but it's uphill.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And I was wearing my Jordan 5s, which are not meant for walking. And it was windy. I was like, this is a bad. This was a bad idea.
At
Like,
least you didn't drive.
I gotta. Yeah, at least I didn't drive. I was.
Was it like
safe
an
about it.
adventure?
Not really. I was
No?
tired. I was buzzed.
I'm drunk at night. I'm drunk as hell. It's usually down dark alleys. So that's scary, man. The last time I did that was in New Orleans, and I was still scared. I don't care if there was a Hilton right next to me, but still, these streets were not very well lit, and I didn't walk down no sidewalks. I walked down the middle of the street because I didn't want anybody attacking me from the cars.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so. But
Well,
yeah,
the good thing is I'm
Whistle.
the scary one in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's funny.
You're more scared of me.
Yeah.
So.
is this an elderly community? Just kidding.
Funny.
Ooh.
Which my challenge is kind of what we're talking about today. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
My challenge this week was I had a big one. One of my daughters had an issue, and she was trying to convey what she was trying to say, but she was getting really emotionally frustrated, and got to the point where she was just letting her anger really like over control her. And I try them. They're like, they wanted to bring a response at me. I'm like, I don't want to do that because I grew up in a way where, our punishment was corporal punishment. We got hit, we got smacked, and everything like that. And so I didn't want to bring that. And I'm like, it's like stop. Like they want it, and they're like, well, you're like, we're threats. It's like, well, they're empty threats. We can only give empty threats these days because you really can't really punish a child these days without having somebody getting involved. Because now there's so many options for children to go talk to a teacher, but the moment you say like they felt they were unsafe or something like that, CPS gets involved.
Damn.
Yeah. And I mean, good for me. I don't have any cases, but we had a lot of instances where we had to they had to come check on us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And it all from just because one kid just felt like they were unsafe. And then they start checking everything down, and we got to show like, yes, here's our pantry, here's your food, here's your water, here's all their beds. And we're like, okay, it's a nice house, and that's it. So it's really hard to trying to figure out how to discipline kids. I have a lot of kids, so the shocker. Yes.
How many kids do you have? And their ages.
I have 7 children.
Okay.
Of the 7, there's 6 girls and 1 boy. My oldest will be turning 20 this year, and then it goes
Oh my
to. I
gosh.
just have a 17-year-old that just had her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
And then after my 17-year-old, it's another 16-year-old. Her name is Leilani, and then
Oh my God, you had teenagers?
I have
female
yeah,
teenagers.
Yes, yeah. So that's another challenge every day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Because it's something that I'm learning right now, and I'm trying to explain to them is that with a big family like that, all of them are going to get different experiences how they were raised.
Yeah.
My oldest, she saw the young version of mom and dad going through the struggles, learning how to be adults, because I had my first one by the time I was 21. And, then most of them just followed right after. Because right after my 16-year-old, then I have a 15-year-old, and then I have a 14-year-old. And then my son, who turns 11 next weekend.
Okay.
And then our youngest is, but my youngest with my kid's mom, she's now going to be, she turned 3 in January as well.
Oh, okay.
So they range from
Oh,
3 years old all the way to
wow.
20 years old by the end of the year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
so there's a lot. It's a challenge every week because everybody's goes through their own challenges, with
Yeah.
boyfriends and girlfriends.
Uh-huh.
I do have one daughter. She dates other girls,
Uh-huh.
so I try to explain things to her like as a guy, but she's like,
Uh-huh.
"No, treat me like a girl." I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I understand that, but when you date girls, you're gonna have to know the guy version. Like, I'm trying to let her understand that she's taking it a little harder, but
Ah.
I want to be the best at for all of them.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, a simple approach of like, okay, let's do it this way, but I feel like I need to be more hands on and asking
Mhm.
more questions
Mhm.
Mhm.
and not being so afraid of, because right now I feel like the biggest thing I hear a lot of parents say, and I'm saying it all the time because that was my go-to, is give them space.
Mm.
And I'm feeling that no,
Mm.
I don't need to give them space. I need to be
Mhm.
there and get in there.
Mhm.
If
Mm.
they're angry, I'm gonna do the
Uh-huh.
opposite. I'm gonna hug them now, because
Mhm.
Mm.
that's what it came down to. I felt like in the end, all that anger, it was just you needed a hug. You need to
Mm.
Mm.
know that we're loving you. We still want to hold you. We still want to. We're here for
Yeah.
you. We don't. They scream for space, but they don't want it.
Yeah.
And it sucks because again, all of them go through things. They're all 7 different personalities, and they
Yeah.
Mm.
all, yes, they do
Wow.
sync up sometimes. It gets a little
Uh-huh.
hostile, and you can't be
Uh-huh.
like,
Yeah.
what day is it? I
Uh-huh.
can't do that because
Uh,
I feel like it's rude,
Mhm.
because again, I have older sisters too. I have 4 sisters.
Mm.
oh
I had a
wow.
stepmom, my mom. I
Uh-huh.
have like 30 girl cousins,
Uh-huh.
so I
Wow.
understand that it's like they all go through it. And I had to
Mhm.
learn, especially with my sisters. Like, I didn't know, when they would go through their menstruals, like, I was like, oh
Mhm.
shoot. I would yell at my sister, like, shut up. I don't want to hear it.
Uh-huh.
And then I get yelled at, like, go back to your room. I'm like, she's crying. I want to go to sleep. And
Uh-huh.
I'm not understanding the pain
Uh-huh.
and suffering that my sister was going through
Uh-huh.
because
Mm.
I didn't understand.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing my girls and I'm like, oh, they're like, Dad, it sucks to be a girl. I'm like, yes, it does.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What do you need? And then it's like, and I do try to
Uh-huh.
cater to them. They'll be like, hey,
Uh-huh.
Dad, it's a really bad week for me. Can
Uh-huh.
you get me some canes? And I was like, all
Aw.
right.
Uh-huh.
And I do give in to them, because they're my girls.
Uh-huh.
And I
Mm.
want them to feel like, hey, when you're sick and you're going through certain things,
Mhm.
best I can do is come give you a plate of food and
Mhm.
what you want. Now that they know that, it's getting,
Yeah.
like I said, the bills are getting tighter. I'm
Uh-huh.
so glad for the $5 menus at McDonald's right
Right?
now. Right?
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
What?
I'm like, why doesn't anybody take advantage of this?
Oh, I do. Definitely do.
Yeah.
Because like now I can go to McDonald's and spend like $60 and feed the whole family.
Oh my gosh.
So everybody gets a little burger, some little nuggets, some little
Uh-huh.
fries, and a
That's all they
drink.
need.
So awesome.
Yeah.
I don't care how processed it is. It's still
I
good.
don't care. No.
I don't care if it's gonna get moldy next year,
Uh-huh.
but
And then I'll pay my $1.39 for my Coke.
yeah. For me, it's a sweet tea. I love their sweet tea.
Yeah.
Their Coke.
But now I'm getting to the point in my life where like I'm not sure if like the diabetes is already setting in now,
Uh-huh.
but I just think that now the sweet teas are so sweet, like I can cut it in two and then have 2
Mm.
cups.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
There
so
you
I
go.
went from a 99-cent meal to a 50 cents.
There you go. I'm all
See,
about
Candy, we're all
that.
about the money. We got the
Uh-huh.
numbers. We got the
Uh-huh.
money. All right,
Like,
we got
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
So, but
Mhm.
yeah, that was my challenge this week.
Okay.
It was very emotional. It was very. I'm trying to understand more. I'm still processing it,
Yeah.
and it's at the point where it's like I feel like I envy the rich people that have a therapist on hand that can come and visit. Like it's our
Uh-huh.
family therapist. We're like,
Yeah.
I wish we had that because I definitely
Mhm.
would need one in the house. I'd have to probably give them room and board while they're there too.
Yeah. For 7 kids.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
a struggle every day, and everybody again,
Mhm.
everybody goes through something. Everybody's one moment you can have a pure joyfulness, and then you just
Uh-huh.
have one that's like, I am not in a good mood. I'm gonna be a jerk,
Uh-huh.
and you're like, oh, and the moment's gone.
Oh.
Did that affect the whole house?
It can like there's moments where we're super joyous. We'll come home, and then all of a
Uh-huh.
sudden we come home and we have to deal with a situation that requires parents to be a parent.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, that we just had that really, really exciting moment.
Uh-huh.
Like, like say, a kid just did a musical theater or a band thing and we're all
Uh-huh.
happy for them. We're celebrating their moment.
Uh-huh.
And then we go find out there's 2 over fighting over something.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of
Um,
kills that whole mood. So we have
Uh-huh.
to really enjoy your small moments
Uh-huh.
because, with the big family, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
those have been my challenges. And obviously with
Dang.
school's been a very
Yeah.
big challenge because that's a lot.
Uh-huh.
And then work wise, I mean, obviously with a lot of the government counting that we've been
Mhm.
dealing with, there's been a lot of curveballs that have been thrown our
Yeah.
way, and we're trying to figure out how to progress with all the cutbacks and all the
Yeah.
restrictions that we've been given, we're like,
Mhm.
how do we still do our job?
Mhm.
I have so many people asking, like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I
Yeah.
do? And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm winging it every time because
Uh-huh.
it's like, I don't know. Every week is a different thing.
Online training.
Right. And that's all they say is online training. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
it's not helping when the workload is so high and
Mhm.
we're left with
Mhm.
so much little,
Yeah.
funding and trying to get by with everything. So it's like, it's stressful at work. It's stressful at home,
Mhm.
stressful at school. And then those have been the challenges that I deal with. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. I know.
So don't have kids.
Yeah. I'll say adopt them at 17 and a half and then let them leave at 18. Like,
Oh my god.
success.
So yeah, those are some challenges. Very different challenges, everybody, huh?
Mhm.
So like we said at the beginning, today's episode is about starting therapy and Recovery Mountain. So who's starting therapy? So Chris, for those of
Yes.
you that are listening, Chris is gonna start therapy. Do you want to share about
Well,
that?
yeah. So I'm going through a divorce. It's been, I think it's coming on 6 months that we've been separated already. And yeah, so I've been told I needed therapy for a very long time. But the issues that I've always had, or the way I felt that were my issues that I always blocked, is because I put other people's first, and that's my family, my kids. And I did that for the longest time because it's like, what am I going to do? You have kids have sports, or kids have school, after school programs, and then you're trying to still do everything that you need to do for the household, making dinner, getting home in time. If you work late, that means everything else is late, and mixing, it's 10 o'clock at night, and you're like, where did the day go? And
Yeah.
so when people are like, well, why don't you take yourself seriously? I'm like, I put others in front of me. And it's not intentionally. It's just sometimes I just get so busy that I don't feel that, like, I just don't think about the top of my head, because I don't put myself as the number one person. And I learned that, from especially someone watching your guys' show, where I'm hearing, like, we got to put ourselves first, no matter if we are busy,
Yeah.
And so, obviously, when you go through heartbreak, or when you're going through a break, you try to do the first thing you do to try to get that focus off. And for me, that was the gym. I was like dedicated from December all the way to January, February, and where I was only missing like maybe 1 or 2 days a week. I mean, in January, I think I missed 4 days total.
Wow.
And I was just so
Whoa.
determined.
Yeah.
And then when school kicked in, so it died down a little bit, but I was still going about 4 to 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And then it just got to the point where, like, I was doing the right things, I felt like I was, but I still was not able to move forward in a healthier way. And so finally I just said, it's like, I've been telling him, like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And finally I had to figure out, like, how to get, like, the resources, because, like, I thought about the VA going through that route, but there was, like, the quick route that says, you have to be, if you're a suicidal, it'll get you in right away. And I'm like, well, I'm not really there, but I kind of don't. Oh, that's not the fast way. Well, then you have to go to the doctor visits, and then you go to the doctor visits, you have to go see your primary doctor. Then you have to get a referral, and then when you get the referral, then you're stuck with trying to find somebody who will accept you, and it takes a lot of time, and I have to think of other things, and work, like I said, is super drowning. And then but many kids that I have, that's drowning. And then living in the same household with your ex partner, it's a lot of, where, like, your focus is not there on myself. It's just like you're just mostly on your feelings, and I don't know what to do with these feelings. So I know I need it, and I know I needed it. And so I finally had my first therapy session a week and a half ago,
Oh, nice.
and it was good. It was good. It was a lot of things that I saw, but I didn't really know, like, what was causing the reactions and everything.
Yeah.
I know things I need to work on. She gave me a little bit of homework, start to, like, see things differently. And I'm trying to see that I really want to be able to do that. And I'm hoping, because I had therapy a long time ago, and it was good. But unfortunately, the program I'm on only allowed me so many sessions, and that was it. And so, again, I kind of want to have that. I'm hoping that I can get a therapist that can stay with me, be consistent with me, and help me so I can grow. Because I would love to heal from a lot of not only my current situation, but from my past situation, childhood situations, and then also learning how to put goals up. I'm a yes man when it comes to the people in my life. I will always go above and beyond. Or I was like, yes, I'll say no, kick and scream and say no, but in the end, I'm gonna still say yes.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, well, why do you go through all that hassle? It's like I gotta act like I care or act like I have some boundaries, but right now that's where I'm at right now is just trying to find a healthier way. I see it. It's helped him out a lot because I
Right.
remember his bad days. I've seen
He saw a lot of my bad days.
yes. I've seen my family members, and I've even heard how you guys spoke about how therapy's gonna have gone. Yeah, I think Candy you've probably gone the longest out of all of you three, and that's awesome because I mean I don't think anything is wrong. I think this was a great human being in front of me. Same with all three of you guys, and it's like, what do they all have in common? I feel like that's therapy. Like you guys all went to therapy in your own certain ways, but when you guys all got it, now we're at a point where we can speak openly and talk openly. And I'm hoping to be that way with mine because there's just so much built up. Because I feel like I think I was many times I was calling you where I'm like, bro, I was watching a sad commercial and I started crying. And I'm like, why am I crying? You're like, I'm a macho man, the machismo. But I got so emotional over like the littlest things, and then they're like, just because your glass is overflowing. And that's what my counselor was telling me. She was like, we're therapists. I mean, and she was just like, you're overflowing with emotions that you're trying to like cork it down.
Yeah.
And then you get so emotionally easily. I'm like, oh, why is that? Am I not a man? Am I not tough? Am I not strong enough? And it's not that. It's just I'm bottled so much up that I'm about to like.
Yep.
The pot is boiling.
Yeah. And in my family, like, or my father, he was a very angry man. And he was like a reactionist, and it was very fast. And that's how I became. And then I had kids, especially with my girls. Like, you can't have that type of anger with girls. And like, I really had to turn things around, but it kind of like bad because I didn't know how to handle
Like how to do it.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that. So it was just bottle it up.
Yeah.
And then every time something traumatic happened to me, it was just bottle up. Don't let that anger out. Don't let that anger out. Don't let the anger out. And it got to the point where like even road rages were getting to the point where like I was like getting super high anxiety because I was like, oh, please, somebody pull over. Just pull over right now. Let's just do it out. I don't care if I lose or win. I just want to feel some pain.
Yeah.
And so I got to that point where I'm like, I can't be this way. I can't be around my girls if I'm this way. I have to figure out a different way. And I tried other outlets, like I said, working out does really help out, getting in the gym. I used to do jujitsu until I got injured. and jujitsu was great. But again, it only gave me a temporary fix, I feel like. And I really think that, again, after seeing you guys, seeing other people in my life going to therapy and seeing how, while they're adjusting now, I mean, it's an upward battle, and every day is a struggle, no matter how long. But I still feel that I want to have better tools and learn how to set a healthy boundary so that in the future, not only am I better for myself, but I'm better for the people in my life.
Exactly.
Love that.
Yeah.
So
Dang, Chris.
Very well put.
Yeah.
I only speak this way because of people like you guys. I hear this, but I now know that I still need to go that extra step and get into therapy. It's a struggle, it's a fight, but just like it's a struggle to go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
You got to struggle to call the doctor, and I'm seeing it more and more. Like, yeah, dude, I gotta call. Dang it, I gotta write it down. And it's really hard to put yourself first when you're so like. I'll tell you, my favorite slogan at work is, "Let me know what I can do to help you out. Let me know what I can do. Help me. If you need anything, call me. If you need anything, call me." And it's like, but I'm so worried about other people that I don't worry myself. And that's,
Shit. I did give you one analogy. I remember I told you about the airplane. When you're airplane and the mask come down, they tell you the first thing you're supposed to do is put your mask on first. And then help everybody else. I did tell him that one time. I remember saying that.
Yeah, it's a true statement because, again, if I'm not taking care of myself and I'm over here being an emotional wreck, and then, like I said, if my daughters are at that point where they need me and I can't be there for them because I'm not there mentally, and then it's like I failed not only once, but I failed twice because I failed myself and then I failed my child.
Dang.
So it's like I'm trying hard to be a good dad because I want to be able to see the children come back after they leave. Because I mean, there's a big family, so I want them to come back like, oh, I don't. We watch so many films where the kids were like, oh, we got to go back to see mom and dad, or oh, we were tired of this, and we were like, and you hear all the drama, but it's like I want them to come to be a place of hope and
Yeah.
bring those nostalgic memories when you go back. Like I have grandparents, they live in Chino, California, and I love going to Chino. I love it because there's so much of my family that live there. And when I go to my grandma's house, the backyard, and there's my uncle and the barbecue, there's the oldies in there, and that just brings back so
That's
many
like your
nostalgia.
happy place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I want to bring that for my children because remember, like traditions go or stay, but it takes time and it takes a lot of it takes those people to stay grounded so people can have that place.
Yeah.
I want to build those traditions for my kids. I want them to be like, hey, we're gonna come over every Christmas Eve, every this. But if I don't be a good dad, then they're never gonna come and visit.
Yeah.
So the real work starts now, and then building that relationship with them. And I'm hoping because the girls, it's very hard. I used to joke. I always said that. I was like, sometimes wish you guys were boys. Like, why? Because then I can punch you. But I can't punch my little princess. So yeah, they're going to therapy. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited for it. I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I'm saying there's no more excuses. There's no more not knowing. I know it's time. I want to do it, and I really want to see what the different life is going to be for me. It may not be a drastic change, but it's going to be different where I'm going to have more control of my emotions because I feel like I don't.
I think you'll be able to enjoy your girls more.
Right. I'm hoping
because you'll be present and you'll be,
And I'm hoping I could use some of my tools that I learned
yes,
to help them,
Yeah.
And
they'll just see it. They'll see you changing and, they'll want to do that too. Yeah. And like I know you said earlier, you were like, I'm trying to be a good dad. You're a good dad, Chris. Like no joke.
No, you are.
No, like no joke.
I don't know how to take compliments. Don't tell me that.
No, I gotcha. I gotcha.
That's like everybody though. We can't take compliments. Like it's like no. Like cause there's a couple people in my life. Like even with my husband, same thing. Like I'm like, but you are. Why don't you just take it? And I'm like,
yeah.
No,
but
I think
you are.
I don't know. Maybe it's like we're so used to the machismos. We're growing up, the nicknames and all that stuff. And then if you did get a good compliment, it wasn't a compliment like "you're such a good dad" or "you're this." It's more like "good job, pendejo." That's it. You're like thanks. It's a
backhanded compliment.
Compliment.
Thanks with the question mark.
Right. Thanks. Because my dad always tells me the story. Yeah, like my dad always told me the story where like none of his parents came to any of his football games. He played and he was a great football player. And he says only one game at the last like 5 minutes his grandfather came. And then when he came, he was like, all right, travieso, good job. That was it. It was as simple as that. And that's all he wanted. And I know he would love because he was a good football player.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hear the stories and everything, but I didn't realize that my grandfather was more about celebrating the mind. And so he didn't see the bruteness of the football game. And my grandmother was they were very involved with the church, so they were always busy. So when my dad played on Friday night, it was like no big deal.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dang.
So
showing up matters.
Showing up does matter. It does. And I don't understand. Like I can't take it. Like when as soon as you guys were calling, I'm like, no, don't do it. I'm gonna get all like, I was like, I don't know what to do.
No, we get you. So yeah.
So,
but just know that.
And you're a good friend too.
Oh,
great friend,
buddy. I love you guys.
Love you too.
I love you, man.
Gotta watch that movie.
Yeah, we're gonna watch that tonight.
I think it's important to tell people these things, because you may feel like, oh, I said something I shouldn't have said, or I was mean, or and then you get down on yourself. But like at the end of the day, everybody sees these things, and it's important to tell people these things because you can think that, but it makes somebody's day when you tell them these things. Like,
yeah, I had me and my cousin started doing that, and I was like, no homo, but I love you, brother. I love you, cousin. And we started doing it because he had lost his brother due to suicide, and I haven't talked to him in a while, so I probably should reach out. But he did say that he was like, hey, he would always tell his Nino, I love you, I love you, I love you. And his brother asked him one day, he goes, hey, did you just tell your Nino you love him? He was like, yeah, I've been doing it since I was a kid. He goes, well, where's my love? you know?
Aw.
And he was like, what? He was like, yeah, I want that. I want this. We should do that. And so he made him say it. And then he told me, I love you, cousin. I'm like, I love you too, cousin. Like he's my cousin. And he was my younger cousin, but like we grew up, you know, we all went through some struggle. And I felt like we bonded more than any of our cousins because we went through so much domestic violence, you know, that we laugh about it because it kind of molded us to the men that we are today. We can take a lot and we can shell out a lot too, but it's because of where we came from. And and like I said, I never, once he told me that, like, yeah, I should tell my cousins, all right, cuz, love you, man. I love you. Because we really need to show that love, you know. And I grew up in that very machismo way where the men did not say I love you or I'm proud of you.
Still haven't got I love you from my dad.
Oh.
I was like, no homo, bro.
But see, even that itself, you know, why is that considered, right? Because no homo stands for no homosexual. Like love between two men is gay. But why does it have that negative stigma,
I mean,
right?
it's always been around because like I know there's
the military.
The military makes so many
yeah.
jokes. Like we would always say, like why
no
do guys
homo.
tap 3 times when they give a hug? So we tell each other, I'm not gay. That's the jokes we used to say all the time, and because we joked around about it, like I tell my son, I love him all the time. Love you, son. Have a great day, son. I love you, son. He was like, all right, dad, love you too. You know.
Yeah.
So he's used to it. He has. So when he's like, what do you mean dads don't tell their sons,
Yeah.
I love you? And I'm like, well, you know, just because it's not the thing. I was like, but why? Like, you don't love your son? I'm like, I love my son. He was like, well, yeah, but why don't you tell your son that? I'm like, and he's 10, 11 now, or he's going to be 11 next week, but he already knows that.
The impact that you can make by telling like your son that you love him, like from a father, like that male on male, like
Someone talk to my dad.
I mean, like when I graduated from the Air Force, I got 2 letters from my parents. My mom sent me a Christmas card just saying, Merry Christmas, see you soon. That was it. I was like, well, I'm glad she put a lot of thought into that letter. And because she didn't understand that letters really meant a lot to us when we were in the military.
Yeah.
And then my dad wrote one, and that's a big deal because that man has horrible chicken scratch. You know, he didn't graduate high school, but I mean, this man has worked with his hands all his life. So for him to actually he actually typed a letter, and it was like maybe like 4 lines, 3 sentences. Right? It was it.
Perfect.
But he made a letter, and he just says, "Hey son, about to start the day. It's about 5:45. I just want to say I love you and I'm proud of you.
Wow.
All right, gotta go. Time to go work." And that was it. That was simple as that.
You even got to love you from your dad and used to beat the crap out of you?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Hector.
it sucks because it's like, yes, this man has, whooped my ass. But when the times came, like those small moments, because I was so waiting for just that small moment. And me and him have bumped heads. We're like, we not just bumped heads. We actually have had physical fights between each other all the way from high school until my adulthood.
Oh, wow.
And the last one,
I said that.
Yeah, and my last one, like I said, yeah, like he like that man's hit me at most fights I've been in my life. He hits the hardest out of all the fights I've ever been in, and so like he hits hard, especially when he hit me with his walker.
Oh my god!
With his walker?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Like I said, even when the man was in a coma, like literally like a couple days ago, he was still trying to pick a fight with me, and I was like, dude, let's
that
stop.
shows he loves you.
Right. And so he had some medical problems, and so he was in the hospital. They had to induce a coma, and he got out of the coma, and then like he came out. So I was housing him for a while, but he wanted to go home already. And he's a very, very independent person. He doesn't like to rely on people or to even use people or anything like that. So he was trying to leave. I'm like, no.
So he's a Mexican man.
Yes, definitely. So that day he was trying to leave, and I told him, dude, don't try it. And he was like, what? You don't think I can kick your ass, boy? And I was like, I didn't say that. I just said you don't try it. You just got out of the hospital.
Yeah.
And he was like, boy, on my worst day, you couldn't kick my butt. And I'm like, and he was watching John Wayne all day, so that was my fault.
Hyped up.
I put his movies on because I was trying to make him comfortable. I was trying to make him comfortable. I was like, yeah, I'm putting John Wayne movies on. And now he's over here like, it was like, what I tell you, Pilgrim, and we got in the tussle, and he fell down. And so when he was getting up, I'm like, come on, let me give you a hand up. And then he took that opportunity to stand up, and then he swung the whole entire walker right across my face. So I'm like,
what?
Yeah. And he doesn't remember much of it because all the medication, he's like, it's like he came like a week, 2 weeks later. He goes, so I heard it wasn't very nice to you. And I was like, well, that's putting it nicely. And it sucks because, like, again, I make comical of my things like that. We make comical, and that's like with my cousin. We have both been through where I wouldn't say it was punishment or parenting. It was corporal punishment, the way we were punished. And now we laugh about it. We're like, ha! Remember the time you got kicked in the head? Yes. That's why your head's still lumpy. We were able to do that, but it's like a dark humor that is that
satire.
Right, because how else were we going to process that?
Right.
We can just say, hey, this was just a bad experience and live with that pain and sorrow, or we can laugh about it, build from it, and move on from it. And that's why we reprocessed it all, because my dad was a very short fused man. And so if I said something wrong, that was it, and I'm a smart ass, so I got in trouble a lot. And my family said I talk too much, so please, if you guys need to interrupt me, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
Like, remember that time we came from Vegas with him? He told a story like
oh my gosh. So we picked him up.
And it went by so fast.
Okay, so we picked him up in what, like Paris or something, right?
I met you guys in Paris.
Moreno Valley area. Yeah. And then we drove from there to Vegas, which was like 4 hours, maybe 3 something or whatever. Yeah, Chris talked the whole
but it was good.
But it was a great conversation. I don't even remember what it was right now, but
it was just family
drama.
It
was just after like story after story after story, but it was very
like
entertaining. Yeah, we're like, whoa, we're in Vegas,
It was a modern day telenovela.
I was just thinking that.
I mean, because when I think about some of my family, like, drama, I can't even say it, but I'm pretty sure I can write a whole telenovela on that, and people are like, oh my god, and then I'm like, yeah, because I mean,
can you share just one little, like, the juiciest thing? Just like the thing like that, you just be like, dang.
I wish I could, but some of those cousins, they got big hands. They beat you up. They'll beat you up.
He's like, they're gonna listen to this.
I hope not. When they were like, "Oh, why are you talking shit?" I was like, "I wasn't talking shit. I was just being."
There's this recording that came up, and
I mean, like, I think like my dad's stories were everybody loves hearing my dad's stories because he lived in I want to say an extraordinary life, because the fact that we don't have men like that anymore. We don't hear those stories anymore. It's last of the wild, wild west. So that's why people are very intrigued with his stories when I talk about my dad. They're like, oh, you talk so great about your dad. It's like, no, I just heard the stories all the time. It was just, I'm a good reporter. That's it. I'm just like, listen what happened. And then plus when I tell my stories, if I know the people that are in the stories, I sometimes mimic their voices. You guys ever do that? Like,
no. Do I?
I think so.
Like, I have a buddy of mine.
Do that.
Yeah.
Like what?
We make a different voice.
You'll make a different voice, almost like you're imitating the voice of the person that's talking. Like if you ever
do it,
like
your sister does it too.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking to like, oh yeah, I was that guy annoying girl. Which one? The one that talks like this? And you're like, oh my god, seriously? And then she was like, yeah. She was like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah, seriously. And then that's how we realized that we started changing their voices. So that makes the story even more. And I did that too with my stories. So when I talk about that, I didn't realize I did that until someone called it out, like, oh, I love your voices that you do. And I'm like,
what voices?
Oh, shoot, I didn't realize I was doing like a live show.
Oh my God.
You're a one-man show?
I'm over here voice acting like, orale. And I was like, and then he was like, orale. And just going back and forth. It's funny because I have a friend, a buddy of mine that I've known from construction, and that dude lived an extraordinary life. And then him and my dad are kind of like the cut of the same cloth. Is that the same?
Yeah.
And it's because they did things that nowadays it's unheard of. And it's because of these guys were involved with gangs. They were involved with guns and drugs. And now when you think about, like, oh my God, people lived like that. Like, my dad's story where he was already truck driving by the time he was 16 years old.
Yeah, so was my dad.
So, and he used to, he was already, he has that, you remember Major Payne?
Yeah.
When he said, when I was 6 years old, I had a full-time job. That was my dad's favorite line. Because he used to open the gates on the dairies so the truck drivers didn't have to get their boots all muddy. So he would stand there and they would give him a tip. They would give him like a couple change. They would give him $1. So he was always working and he was always
hustling.
Hustling. And yeah, my dad's an interesting character because he's crashed diesels. He's flipped over heavy machinery. The man has 9 lives. I think he's on his 8.5. because he just got in another motorcycle accident again.
Oh my God.
It's his third one in the last 2-3 years.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was like, "You're gonna hang it up?" He's like, "Yeah, I think so."
I was gonna say he has a walker and he drives a motorcycle.
No, he got the
Dang.
walker, but like he is like technically Wolverine right now because there's so much metal in his body.
Oh my God.
Because he's broken like legs, screws, pins. The 2 motorcycle accidents ago or 3.
Jeez.
That was the worst one where he went. Somebody pulled out in front of him and he collided,
Oh.
and so like he had broken teeth, broken nose, broken hand, broken wrist, broken leg, and everything
Jeez.
down. And it was one of the worst, not the worst, one of the first times that I actually saw my dad crying in pain.
Oh.
Because just to get him in the van, like I went and got my van. We opened up the doors and he like slided in, because he's, machismo man. I don't even know how, but when he was in there, I could see the pain. Like, oh my God, I'm in most agonizing pain. And that one was a hard one for him to recover. And I would have thought that was gonna be it, but no, he didn't learn because. My grandma tells me a funny story when he broke his first leg. His first time he broke his leg. That the next day my grandfather caught him on his bike, riding his bike with his cast on.
No.
Yeah, and there was another time where he was climbing a telephone pole and he fell off, but the hook from the steps hooked him in his leg, so he had to hang there and wait for his uncle to come with the tractor to take him off the thing.
Oh my God.
I could tell you all his injuries, everything from back in the day he was playing football when he was a kid and. Rod went right through his thigh, out his kneecap. He ended up getting gangrene.
Oh.
And then the story of that one was they were going to amputate. And then my grandmother, who's a very spiritual woman, love my grandmother. She was praying and praying and praying. And then the day before the surgery, my dad was sleepwalking. And she says, "Go back to bed." He's like, "I want some water, And she's like, "Okay, I'll bring you some water." And she gets him down to bed, and then she goes to the kitchen to go get water, and she goes, "Wait a minute, he's not able to walk." Like,
oh shit!
So she was like panicked. So the next morning when they go in for the surgery, she says, "Hey, can you go check his leg? Let's see what is going on." She's like, "Ma'am, it's gangrene. Like we got to take it off, or he's gonna die. He can die from this." And she's like, "Please, this is my son's leg. This is his life. Just can you go do another test just before we do it?" And apparently. He was clear. There was no gangrene left.
Wow.
So we don't know if it was a bad result or if it was God's miracle. But another reason why I'm like, I don't understand how my dad's still alive.
Wow.
Because,
that's amazing.
Yeah, that man has escaped death more times than I can think of. And he's still around. So.
Has he ever had any after or near death experiences that you know of?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Many times.
Oh my gosh.
So when he was in like 17, I think it's the age. Let's see, I'm trying to think here. Sorry, when he was about 18, he was truck driving and he was working all night. So sometimes he would skip school so he can just get more money because working was better for him. He wasn't good at studies. He was just, I want to work. And he had been working for like, I think he said it was like 12 to 15 hour driving nonstop. And so he was on his last load. And he fell asleep. He was falling asleep, and he saw a school bus go by, and he fucking panicked. Excuse my French. And when he panicked, he says that he turned the diesel to the left, and he went into like a ditch canal area. So he flipped the whole entire diesel. And then when he got out of the diesel, like holy crap, that was it. And an old man came to him, and he says, "Hey man, that was crazy." He was like, "Yeah, it was crazy." It was like that would have been like our third time we almost died, right? And he goes. Third time? What are you talking about? And he goes back and the old man was gone.
Oh shit.
And then the story goes on where my dad says so he didn't want to tell my grandmother because he didn't want my grandma to get pissed or she would get upset. So he stayed out late that night and so he didn't come home. And then he came home at midnight and he says she was still up. She was like, "I had a dream. There was an old man telling me that it was getting this close, like you were close. Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm fine." Yeah. And she's like, "I was just out." And she's like, "Okay, it just made it seem like something bad. It was that you almost died again." And then he was like, "No, Mom, I'm okay. So he lied about it. Nothing went. And so the following week, he was hanging out on the couch. My dad's youngest brother was like 5 at that time. He was in kindergarten. He goes, "Hey, man, I saw you." And he was like, "What are you talking about? I haven't seen you all week." And he was like, "No, I saw you when you flipped your truck. I was in my bus right there." Yeah, and you're like, "What?" And my grandmother here, she goes, that old man was your guardian angel because he looked tired. And I was like, oh man, and then
busy.
And she told him like, you better
Like your dad.
He kept. I don't know if that old man. They must have had to create a replacement for him because that my dad's guardian angel has been working triple time.
Yeah.
And I mean, like right now, that man, he should get like double wings or something or double halos because I don't understand how my father has made it out of some of the biggest pickles that most people can never say. They walk away, you know. And I can't say everything that he's done, but those are just some of the things.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, with the gang violence, he dealt with that. He, you know, he was in another club, a jacket club they called him back in the day. There was rumbles that he was part of. Like you don't even hear about rumbles anymore. You know, you're over here thinking of like outsiders, you know, everybody in leather jackets. But that happened. He says, you know, his crew and then the local gang, they had a big beef on one street and they just had it out.
Dang.
And I mean, that's the type of stories that I tell with my dad, and they're very intriguing because again, we don't live like that no more.
Yeah.
You know, you don't hear about where cops will let you have a fist fight in front of them and they say, all right, it's done, it's fair and square. You know, everybody goes home. And because he's done that where the cops were like, all right, we're gonna let you guys fight, and then when you guys are done, you guys are gonna shake hands and walk away. That's just old school thinking, and nowadays to even think about how they would do that, you couldn't.
Yeah.
So that's why I say some of the stories I say is it's just that wild west. People like are amazed by what it is. But it takes a toll on the body, I'll tell you that. I think my dad shrunk like 2 inches already.
Wow.
Dang.
So, yeah. Sorry, I got off track.
We do that all the time.
We do that all the time. Okay. So you're going to therapy.
Yeah. I'm going to therapy, guys.
Can you imagine your therapist?
I know. Yeah, she's gonna find a lot of stories.
I'll pray for her.
Yes, please. She's doing God's work right now. She's the therapist for the base, so she does the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's doing God's work right now.
Yeah.
But she's good, and but I kind of need to find somebody that's where I can be a little more consistent with her. So right now she's kind of filling my gap because I'm between insurances right now.
Yeah.
So I have to wait till my new insurance starts and then start the whole process of primary referrals, find the doctor, and then go.
I know you're a veteran, and I know they have it here in Vegas, so I'm not sure how or if they have that in California. I'm pretty sure they don't. But like the VA, the vet center, you know how they have like the free counseling?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think they have
them
that in
over
California?
There. Yeah.
Oh.
Like the little vet center.
And it's free.
Like,
really? I've never paid a dime.
I'll probably have to look into that.
Yeah.
Definitely, because
and it's full time or it's therapy, like long-term therapy.
Yeah, unfortunately, with one of the therapists, I actually got like I was all excited, and then I was telling him about it. He was like, "Oh, but it's not like therapy, bro." And he was like, "What is it?" And it's like it's new age therapy, and I'm like, I didn't know what it was. So it basically was something about magnets, and they were gonna put it on my head, and they were gonna center location. It was gonna help like with depression, anxiety, and then it was something about the magnetic waves. But I was upset because they didn't allow me to continue it because they said, "Well, we're only giving this to people who are having who been on long-term medication." So when you know what medication, I was like, I haven't been on any. I just want to talk to somebody. And they're like, "Oh, sorry." And then I was like, "Well, back to the drawing board again," and that's what happened. And I'm like, "Oh." Yeah, so I think that's what I mean. Again, that probably goes into like the whole Medicare system and how everything, all the processes, it makes it so hard for some people to get to be seen.
Yeah, it's hard on purpose. Definitely.
Right, definitely. Yeah.
But it's worth it.
It is. And again, the reward is sweet. So it's just,
for sure.
I think maybe it's more about the journey than so much about the destination.
Yeah.
Definitely. Speaking of the journey, let's talk about Recovery Mountain. So
I got this from my alcohol drug treatment for the from the VA.
Okay.
So this is where I got this from, and every time we had a session, we'd get one of these papers and we'd go through it. It was pretty cool. Like we shared what we thought about it and just our experience. Cool. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's where I got the challenges from. From there. Every week we go in there. What was your challenge this week?
Okay, that's cool. See, Everything
Mhm.
it's like full circle, huh?
Yes.
So, Recovery Mountain and warning signs. There's a quote here that says, "Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow," by Albert Einstein.
Mhm.
Recovery Mountain. Let's see. Recovering from substance abuse and mental illness is like climbing a mountain. It's an uphill journey that are multiple paths you can take, and you may backslide or slip or question your ability to continue climbing. But when you reach the top of the mountain, the results are worth the climb, and you can look back and be proud of everything you did to climb that mountain.
See?
Yeah. So it basically shows a mountain, and it shows like there's a straight, and maybe we can put this up in the video.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's like a straight shot up, and then the other one is like what different
Like
like
peaks and valleys.
peaks and
I guess.
valleys,
Yeah.
like ups and downs, like real life. Um let's see. Choice points or slips. The down is easier, but at the cost of
I'll read it 'cause I think
okay.
it's easier on this side.
Yeah.
The way down is easier, but at the cost of
See.
Having
to
having
climb.
to climb up again, which may be more difficult the next time.
There's a typo there, guys.
Yeah, there
That's
is a
why.
typo.
I was like,
I was like,
wait.
is there a glare or something?
No, I can read.
And I didn't type that out.
So at the bottom of the mountain, it says active substance abuse and mental illness symptoms. And then at the top, it says recovery.
Mhm.
And then, let's see. This says, what do you notice about Trail A and Trail B? Trail A, trial and error. Mistakes are made along the way, but you will eventually make it up to the top.
Mhm.
Trail B, no problems, just a direct path to the top. Very few people can do it this way. Which is right? Like nobody
Yeah.
recovers the same way. Nobody
No.
goes to therapy the same way. Like everybody's different. Not everything works for
Mhm.
everybody's different.
Yeah,
What trail do you think you guys are?
Definitely A.
Definitely A for me.
I think I've only known one person to do B. Only
Yeah?
one, and because that person was very like, yeah, I just woke up one day and said I'm done,
Damn.
Yeah, that was my dad.
and I was like, seriously? And I was like, he was like, yeah. I said, what happened? He's like, I woke up after being high on whatever drug he was on,
Mhm.
and he says I slept for like 3 days. And then when I woke up, he says I felt so dirty. He says he's like I got in the shower, I didn't get out. He's like I stayed in the shower for 6 hours, scrubbing myself over and over and over
Oh
and
my
over.
gosh.
And I said, are you serious? He's like, then what did you? He's like, I went back to sleep. And when I woke up, I said, I'll never touch this stuff again.
Damn.
And I was like, and that was it. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, how long? He was like, it was like about a year and a half of on this. I think he was like doing, but they say tweak, is that speed?
Speed, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I was like, I was so shocked. I mean, I knew, he dabbled in it, but I didn't know it was that bad because I had left to the Air Force already. So I didn't know until after he came back. And I was like, dude, you just cold turkey. He was like, yeah, I cold
that's
turkey.
very difficult.
And never went back, never did anything again. Like he just, that was it. And again, maybe it has to do with his personality.
Yeah.
Because, he's just a simple, straightforward guy. And I was like, dude, I respect you so more.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like,
Uh-huh.
I feel like everybody's more the A because we all we go there. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And, but when he told me that, I was like, yeah, he's changed his whole life. You're a family man, hard worker, and you're amazed. And you're like, wow, like this dude could have went totally the opposite way, could have died with the needle. I'm not sure if it was needle, but he was smoking it.
Yeah.
But even then, like still, he could have overdosed at one point. And I just heard of another friend of mine, her old party friend. She passed away just recently, and they found her in a car.
Damn.
Oh
Yeah.
my
So it's like,
gosh.
dang, we can all definitely go down different paths.
Yeah.
And some people it's a little harder for others, and others they can't ever come back up. Not that they couldn't, but it's just
it's just harder.
It is. There's a lot of, I think people get in drugs for a lot of different reasons. Whether it's for the party scene or for coping mechanisms or trying to find the next high or something like that. And now, I mean, and it's great. I think nowadays feel like I don't hear that much from family members. Like, hear it once in a blue. And we had a mutual friend that was on hardcore drugs.
Samudio.
I mean, that took us by surprise.
Yeah.
Because we trusted that dude. We trusted him.
We trusted him with our lives.
I brought him in my home.
He was driving.
Me too.
I brought him in my home, and he crashed over for that week. You guys came over a weekend. And I would have never had if I had known like he was doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so when it came out, he was like, "I thought you guys should have known." I was like, "No, we were very shocked." And some people can hide it just to a certain point before it gets out of the control. Because I mean, I've grown up with people who were functioning addicts, and I'm like, "How are you able to do that?" They're like, "I can still run 2 jobs a day and still do my stuff." And they're doing, they go from like 20. They say they go from like 20 hits of black tar heroin down to like 5 to 6 just to function through the day.
Damn.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a lot, but it's a struggle still. Even if they're functioning, they're still struggling to get to better to the work, get off of it. But yeah, there's a lot of after effect.
Dang.
Candy, which one are you?
I
feel like you're trail the B.
So I would say right now I'm trail B because with drinking it was like hey, I can't handle this anymore. You either drink or we, So I quit drinking, and like I said, I've never wanted to drink again, and it's like not. But before, I would stop drinking and then I would just start up again. But I think a lot of that has to do with my mental health, big time. So, yeah, I would say right now I'm trail B. Definitely.
Yay, we got a trail B.
Straight shot.
Straight to the top.
Come back next week for part 2.
Thank you for joining us. If you are in need of any medical assistance, please contact your local provider. If you are having thoughts of suicide, please call the National Suicide Hotline at 988. In case of emergency, call 911. See you next week as we talk about
the things we're not supposed to talk about.